Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. And before we start, I'd like to invite once again all of you that like my content but haven't yet subscribed to go ahead and click that button and the bell notification so you know when I've uploaded a new video. Now let's get started with today's main story. This post is from the subreddit Relationships and it's by user Confetti Candy. I, 26 female and my boyfriend, 25 male, about to move in together when he tells me he's unhappy that I can't drink. I don't know if I should go ahead and move without him. We started out living in the same place, but then I had to move for work, so we've been long distance for some time. Finally, I got the opportunity for an internal transfer so we could be in the same place. We picked Dallas, Texas to move to together for various reasons: the cost of living, the chance at good in-state tuition for grad school, job opportunities, the number of transplants, the weather, plus he had some friends already living there. He got a job, got a place, and moved down a few weeks ago. My transfer was just accepted, so I was preparing to move down in another few weeks. He was so happy and excited about the news, or made a good show of it if not, and said he couldn't wait to have me there. I was counting the days. Now, today, he says he's been having a blast reconnecting with his old friends. They've been going on benders over the weekends, and he's been living it up at bars and clubs with them, their friends, and their girlfriends. The thing is, I can't drink, like physiologically. I have a genetic mutation that makes my liver unable to metabolize alcohol, so I only feel sick when I drink it instead of good. Alcohol intolerance, also known as Asian glow. I am Asian and he's not. Some people who have this condition drink anyway, but I feel so awful when I try, I've given up. He says he's been thinking that we might be happier if we go our separate ways since I can't drink and he likes to. I'm in shock. He's known this about me since day one. I don't feel like I act weird about it. I get my one drink to hold and sip on throughout the night, so I don't look out of place and I still have fun. I just can't do multiple rounds or shots. And up to this point, our relationship has revolved around fun activities instead of drinking. He told me that's been great and he's done more things than ever, but then he revealed to me that this whole time he's missed being able to go out and have fun drinking like he has in other relationships. He says he's had more fun in past relationships being able to party and share that with them. He says many people in Dallas have fun by going out to bars and drinking. He'll be doing that, so if I come, I won't be able to participate and I'll feel left out and unhappy. We haven't officially broken up, but the conversation felt pretty final. I'm reeling. Moving to Dallas still makes sense for all of the same reasons, and I can afford it just fine, but I didn't expect to have to do it alone. I'm also feeling discouraged about the idea that I won't be able to make friends in Dallas if I can't drink. This has tapped into a major insecurity of mine. I've struggled in the past because the other people who don't drink either do so for religious or moral reasons, or are the kind of people who don't like going out altogether, so I don't connect with them as much. I do like to go out and have a good time. I even go to raves. I just do it sober. But then, if I'm in a group that's drinking, they feel weird if I'm not drinking too. Not gonna lie, it sucks. In my experience, it actually bothers people, so that makes me feel bad and out of place. But I can't help how I was born. Sometimes it's hard not to feel defective. Now, I'm wondering if I should still go through with the move alone. Is this going to be a major friendship barrier in Dallas? Are there people out there who are outgoing and like to be wild sometimes, but are also sober? Where do I find them? OP, your ex-boyfriend? Yes, ex-boyfriend is an absolute coward. I'm pretty sure he kind of found a new life in Dallas going out with his friends and their girlfriends and out to party, so he's making it your fault. He's blaming you for the breakup because you can't drink. Wow, that's an awesome excuse. I understand it's hurting OP, but I actually think he's doing you a favor because this just shows how poor of a character he is. Honestly, I can't believe that if you don't drink, it just makes everybody kinda dislike you. Maybe I'm the weird one, but I can't think of a situation where I would be upset if somebody doesn't want to drink. I mean, it's their choice. Anyways, let's get over your old boyfriend or your ex-boyfriend and let's focus on the real issue here. Should you move to Dallas or not? I would think it's a big enough city that you wouldn't have to run into him, considering, well, he's gonna go on benders and you're not. And all of the other reasons you listed sound good to me, so if you're asking should you move to Dallas? Yes. Will you have a major barrier to make friends? I don't think so. I've never been there, but I still think you would find people that would kind of like you even if you don't drink. So my advice would be, F it, if you think it's the right thing for you to do, then go ahead and do it and forget about your ex. And what do you guys think about OP's situation? Would you move to Dallas or not? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's continue to the community comments to see what they said. D-Fans says, sounds like he was just looking for an excuse to end things. You're not defective, you're just genetically compelled to do something that a lot of people do as they get older anyway, which is not drink so damn much. I don't think this is about your alcohol consumption anyway, because as you grow and change, you'll find a lot more people who will understand your side of things. Deleted says, sounds like he's getting cold feet. It might have bothered him low-key for a while and now he doesn't want to lock in something, moving in together when there's a flaw that he sees. Also, people forget that your significant other doesn't have to be your everything. My partner and I share many hobbies, but if I like to drink and she doesn't as much, then I would just go out more often with friends. My partner hates baseball, but that's my thing, so I just go to games with my baseball friends. It takes nothing away from our relationship. If you feel like fighting for it, try and have a serious conversation about it, but it seems like he's not mature enough to move in together or looking for an excuse to get out. You deserve better, but maybe he can turn it around after a good conversation. Spanish Jinquisition says, Dalasite here. I almost never drink and it's not an issue at all. Honestly, no one cares. I really don't understand why it would be an issue to your boyfriend. It makes me wonder if he just wants to be single in a new scene. This is a great city and you could have a great life here, but lose the boyfriend for sure. Gonna Make a List says, it honestly sounds like he's just looking for a reason to break up. You not drinking is a pretty weak excuse and leads me to believe something else is behind it. I am married to someone who doesn't drink and doesn't do the whole party and bars thing. It hasn't affected our relationship in the slightest because couples don't have to do everything together and you don't need to drink to have fun. Additional information from OP's comments. In college, when the social scene was all about drinking, people acted offended or like I was lame if I said I didn't drink. Even if I explained it was a medical issue, they felt weird and or didn't believe me. It was passed on to me that certain people would talk about me like, that's not a thing, she just doesn't want to drink. If one person keeps declining the shots that are passed around, it seems like they're not being a good sport. But it's awkward and exhausting to explain that it's a condition. If someone wants to go out to a bar to drink away the exam, they won't invite you as a buddy because they don't need a designated driver in a place you can walk. And they don't want to feel like they're drinking alone. You might get invited to a group setting, but it's still not the same. I know real life is different now, but I still feel like I missed out on college experiences everyone seems to relate to, and I still experience some stigma from people now in my 20s. I still like to go out, still get a single drink, zip it, and just hang out with people. I'll go to clubs and dance. I go to raves and have a blast. I just do it all sober. I wish I could find more people who like to do all that, but I don't feel weird if I'm not drinking. Dallas does have an Asian community, so that might be a place to start looking for meetups or community groups when you land. That said, I have a lot of fear of the unknown right now, knowing that I'll be moving all alone. And now he's gotten it in my head that I may not be able to fit in there, and I don't know how much I should believe him. None. It's still possible for me to cancel the transfer at this point, but I had already known I wanted to move. I'm in Chicago right now and have been looking to move. The cost of living and the weather have really affected my quality of life here. I also want to go to grad school in the next couple of years, so I need to be saving money. Dallas seemed like a place where I could have the large city experience I wanted, different things to do, young people, transplants, downtown living, with the standard of living I wanted and still save money. In any case, I can more than afford to live alone in Dallas, and I've missed having my own place. I've been a roommate too long in Chicago. I had my heart set on moving before we picked Dallas, and Dallas has a lot of pros that I like, as I have already mentioned. I still have a lot to think over, but these comments are really helping me to see that I don't have to worry about fitting in. And as long as I can resist getting back together with him, I'll be okay. Alright, well, I think the community gave OP some decent advice, and it definitely got her thinking, because now she's not that much afraid of moving. Or at least she understands that she's going to be okay, that there surely must be people there who don't have the filter of, if you don't drink, you're not my friend, or something like that. Anyways, it's that time where we move on to the update, but before, it's also that time that I ask you, if you're liking this video so far, please go ahead and click that like button, maybe even leave a comment. And now we move on to the update. Long story short, we had a discussion and broke up that week. I'm not going to lie, those first couple of months were hard. It felt like the rug had been pulled out from under me, and I was totally unsure what to do next. I was torn between sheepishly asking my company to withdraw the transfer or going ahead and moving along to what felt like my ex's city now. Either way, the clock was ticking on my apartment lease. The anxiety was keeping me up at night, and the lack of sleep only made things worse. On top of that, it was though knowing that I was probably the only one sad about the breakup while my ex was living his best life, partying with best friends and banging hot chicks, relieved to be rid of me, so yeah, that felt like crap. In the meantime, I threw myself into work to keep my mind off things. That's when things took a crazy turn, because one of my projects garnered a lot of attention. It led to me writing a report that made its way to a member of upper management. Lo and behold, a few weeks later, a management position opened up that I was uniquely qualified for, and the interviewer was that same person who liked my report, so I got the job. When they told me that I would need to relocate to our home office on the West Coast, I work in biotech, I was able to tell them that all my stuff was already packed and ready to go. Thanks, X. So now, instead of Dallas, I'll be moving to the West Coast in a few weeks. One of my best friends is coming along for the ride. We're going to make an epic road trip of it and hit a few national parks along the way. Since we had fully expected to move in together, my significant other had taken some of my belongings down with him. I've paid about $500 so far to get my crap shipped back. My kitchen stuff and some pieces of furniture are forfeited. He has yet to return my gaming consoles. We really should have split it, but I knew he'd turn that into a back and forth that I didn't want to deal with. To be honest, there's also enough of a difference in our budgets that $500 to me is not as big a deal as $250 would be to him. It's yet another blessing that we never merged our finances. I've reminded him a few times about the rest of my stuff, and he keeps telling me he'll get it to me. I don't know why he has to make this so difficult, but I'm getting pissed. What I'm mainly finding hard is that I just know he wants me to give up and roll over so that he can keep the games and consoles. I specifically asked him to send the consoles with the original box of things he returned, and he didn't. It's my old GameCube and PS2 along with their games. Those are sentimental value nostalgia things, even if they are technically replaceable. Although I would have to put some work into finding resale items to replace them. I suspect the dishes are a matter of effort because he knows he'd have to put work into packing fragile items. But I also suspect he hasn't sent my consoles because he's enjoying playing Smash on the GameCube, probably sometimes with friends. He's also got my furniture, kitchen stuff, and various other things that I can't justify the cost of getting back. I really don't like feeling like a doormat, so I'll look into a flight there and back for 24 hours. I have enough airline miles that I could use those. I've also decided I'm not going to try to date for another year at least. I've been told that my management role is likely to be upgraded to a director role depending on my performance review, so work will probably take up a lot of my time. Any remaining time I have, I want to fully devote to forming friendships. But most importantly, if you couldn't already tell, it's clear that I have some serious work to do on self-worth and boundary. And for the record, I think it's important to note that it's not like this guy was a deadbeat loser. I know it's easy to think, why is this woman dating an a-hole when you read these posts, but it's rarely that simple. Everyone who met him loved him. We shared a lot of common interests. He was fun to be around, always happy, great to talk to, supportive of my career, a fantastic cook, very organized, and came from a great family, had a good job, all of that. However, there is no denying that I was in a long-term relationship with someone who consistently took way more than they gave, like on every level, and he himself would admit that. I want to take this time to work on myself so that I never accept that kind of situation again. But when I do decide to put myself out there again, it's the West Coast. God knows there will be plenty of guys around who also have Asian glow and will understand why I'm not drinking. Lol. Cheers everyone. Champagne flutes. Alright OP, well I'm gonna write this down under happy ending in progress because you still need to get those consoles back. And good for you for not letting him just walk over you on this one and actually taking a flight to go get your stuff. Hopefully you won't have any problem getting them. So here's wishing you the best in the future OP. Go ahead and enjoy that new job in the West Coast. I hope it's as much fun as it sounds. Take care OP and thank you for sharing. And now let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance and it's by user HotCryptographer552, a 6-pack by any other name. I was in the army way back when the internet was new and computer illiterate commanding officers had their clerks print out their emails so they could read them. As a young private after work, my buddies and I would often stop by the Class 6 store on post, an army liquor store, to buy beer after we got off duty. One day, me and my buddy grabbed a 12-pack of beers on the way to the barracks. When we got back to the barracks, we had to pass the CQ, the charge of quarters, basically a guard posted at the entrance of the barracks. The CQ that day was a specialist, an E4, who I really didn't get along with. He was mad that he had to pull CQ duty and he was always trying to find everyone's stupid infractions. He had taken a special interest in me for some reason. The CQ told us we could only bring 6 beers into the barracks. Since he was an E4, he outranked myself, an E2, and my friend, an E3. I was very respectful when I asked him what he meant, and he pulled out a 3-ring binder with the barracks standard operating procedure and pointed to the section that said a soldier could bring only 6 beers into the barracks. Interesting. I thought about handing my friend 6 beers and taking 6 myself to get around this stupid rule, but this guy would log that we opened a 12-pack of beers outdoors in the logbook and we'd get in trouble anyway. Then I had an interesting idea. I thanked the CQ and told my friend to come on. We walked back to 6th class and got a refund for the beer. Then we bought 6 40-ounce bottles of malt liquor. We went from 144 fluid ounces of beer in 12 12-ounce cans to 240 fluid ounces of malt liquor in 6 40-ounce bottles. When we returned to the barracks, the CQ wanted to inspect our package. He just about hit the ceiling when he saw I was carrying 6 40-ounce bottles. He says, "I told you, you can only bring 6 beers into the barracks." And I responded, "There are 6 beers in here. I can count them off if you like." I then proceeded to count them before he could respond. Flustered, he allowed us to proceed. The next morning, the first sergeant, the highest ranking non-commissioned officer in the company, called me to his office. He yelled at me for about 5 full minutes before he calmed down long enough to tell me I was getting an Article 15, non-judicial punishment, roughly the military equivalent of a plea bargain. Why? Because I violated his standard operating procedure by bringing 6 40-ounce beers into his barracks. That's when I heard the CO, the commanding officer, a captain, in the next office over, call for the first sergeant. The first sergeant jumped up and went straight to the CO's office. I strained to hear them talking for a few minutes, but from what I could make out, they were reviewing the standard operating procedure and comparing it to the CQ log. But their voices got louder as they started expressing different views, and I could hear that part clearly. First sergeant says, "But it says clearly you can have a 6-pack of beers." And the commanding officer said, "First sergeant, it says you can have 6 beers." "But it's obvious it meant 6 cans of beers." No for Sergeant, it's not obvious. Send that soldier back to work, we're done here. A couple of seconds later, I could feel the sheer anger as First Sergeant stormed back into his office and bellowed, "Get the F out of here." So I did. Well, OP, it's not your fault that he made some vague SOP. He should have stated cans and not just beers. You were absolutely in the right. Thanks for sharing, OP. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.